the amount of time which it takes to do a particular action takes much time. That's a major problem, and debugging is again a bigger problem.
Okay.
Okay, but it adds a lot
Yep.
of value. So like as you know that in the Oracle e-business project, generally like why we'll go for extension, right? Maybe if you are aware of the form personalization
Yeah.
concept. So custom implementation, when you have it, like when you have a few new requirement, you go with the custom implementation. But when you want to change the existing business logic of the standard functionality, for changing the standard functionality, we'll go for extension. So when you say extension, again, it depends upon the requirement and it depends upon which level of extension we have to do. Because, like in the OAF, we have different components, right? We have the controller, we have the
Yes.
PC4G object. So which extension we have to choose depends upon what requirement it is. Okay. So, but in most of the projects which you generally come across, will have the CO extension or maybe the VO extension. Mostly, 90% of the cases,
Mm.
it will be either CO or VO. And in this particular CO and VO, mostly we use CO extension because that is a where developer will have much particular, like what you say, handy to write the code in the CO rather than the VO or even rather than the AM. So we have other extensions also like
Yeah.
CO extension is one of the major things, then Vivo, and other things like EVO extension as well as the AM extension. But considering this concept, if you consider concepts here, the CO is a part of your UI layer, right? Web UI. Nothing but like which comes in the
Yes.
several web UI stuff, and this other things which are a part of a PC4J concept. Nothing but the Vivo, AM, and EVO. They are part of the PC4J. Nothing but like a
Mm.
business layer. So the concept wise, when you perform a Vivo extension, to perform the AM or Vivo extension, the concept is same. Okay, but anyway, we'll just get into that. So
Yeah.
before that, what we do is we'll try to work on the CO as well as Vivo extension. So first of all, when you get a requirement, how do you choose which extension you have to come across? Which extension you have to choose it? It depends upon like once you understand the requirement carefully and in which layer we have to handle, then you can easily get into this which level we have to write the code. So initially what we do is let us work on the
Yeah.
SQL extension. Okay. So what is the process involved in a
Yep.
SQL extension? So like we know what is the purpose of a SQL in general normal OAF pages, isn't it? To handle the buttons or to initialize the logic, right? Or to validate some data.
Yes.
That's the major purpose why we use the SQL. And sometimes like here what we do is like when you get a requirement, there are chances that the code should be written in the AM, but we generally prefer to write in the CO itself when you are working in the extension area. Why? What is the reason is like we don't want to extend our AM and we don't want to write the code in the AM. So we'll write all the either the code of your AM or the code of your CO. We'll write everything in the CO itself. In extension, we'll write that way.
Okay.
In extension, we'll be writing that way itself. Why? Because like it is very difficult. It's unnecessary process to extend the AM for a simple functionality. So it is better you prefer to write all the code in the
Yeah.
CO itself. Okay. So what some set of the properties of the CVO, like what level of extension can be done in the CVO. So as you know that like if you observe the personalization, there are 4 levels we can do: function level, responsibility level, organization level, as well as the site level. So there are different ways, different levels we can do,
Yes.
and mostly generally we do at site level as well as responsibility. So now if you consider CVO
Yeah.
extension, so here to click on the CVO extension, as you know that the basic thing is you have to have the profile values enabled, the self-service definition as well as the region link enabled, profile values has to be enabled. And the information about the CVO extension, see CVO is nothing but Java file, right? Nothing but when you compile, it will be class file.
Yes.
The class file has to be moved to the server. And what are the personalization information which you do on the page that will get stored in the JVR table. Okay.
Yep.
So these are some of the properties of SIVO, and I think I have the process. How do you perform the SIVO extension? Like in this particular slide, I have chosen some particular sample, some standard page to perform the SIVO extension. So we'll directly get into the coding. Like I'll show you one sample. How can we perform an extension on a particular standard page? Okay. When you say extension, it's a standard page, right? Because if it's a custom page,
Yes.
so I will go for a custom this standard stuff. They would have directly do in the we can directly modify the custom page itself, right? Now
Yes.
what I will do is I'll choose any page, change any page. So
Hello.
yeah, yeah, Jyoti.
When the station is start, I just joined right just
It's
now.
it's around 5 minutes back it started. So now if you observe here, like what I will do, like let's choose anything here. Maybe I would know. Okay, I extend.
The internet expenses or yeah.
I extend century. One basic thing is, when you work on the extension, you have to understand the process clearly. Because technically, whatever the coding we have written in our custom implementation, that is the only code we will be using it. Okay. So what we do is, let us understand now. This is our page. Okay, this is our standard page. Now what I want to do is, I just want to check very simple basic sample. How can I extend the CO of this particular page? See, when you consider any of the OAF page, let me write here. When you consider an OAF page, what exactly it will have is a region or it can have a set of items, right?
Region.
So region is always the
Items,
basic thing.
yes.
Region, because the page load is a parent component. Let us say, I'll write in this way. Now, we'll have page layout region, and let us say I can have one region, and I can have one more region here, right? And I can have item here, and I can have some other items like this. Now, if you observe how many controllers at max I can have, at maximum, how many controllers I can have for this page now?
You can have controllers at the one level or different region levels.
So nothing but I can have one controller here, and I can have one more controller at this
Yes,
place,
page level,
and I can
item
have
level,
one more controller at
and one more
so item level you cannot have
region two.
controllers. Item level you cannot have controllers. Okay.
Yeah.
Item level you don't have that. So at max I can have the three level of controllers. No, why I'm
Three
telling this
levels.
one is when you're working on extension, you have to carefully identify at what level you're performing the and at what level you have the appropriate requirement. Let us say if you have some requirement to be done at the region level, you better extend this one. See, generally we can extend the parent because
Yes.
parent can have the access to all the child. Mostly it works. If you extend the CO1 is enough. If it doesn't work, then try to extend the CO2 or CO3 based on the requirement. Okay.
Yes.
Generally, parent is enough to extend. When you're working on extension, parent extension is enough. So, what is the basic thing you have to remember when you perform extension? Is like you have to know the page name as well as the C1 name. Okay. So now, if you observe, let us say I want to extend this particular page, I mean the CO extension of this particular page. So, only thing is we will just require this particular one. Just click on about this page and find out what is the page name. So here this is my page name, right? So make a note of this page name.
Yes.
And here for the CO, you never find any path. If you observe here, it shows it mentions the CO name, but you will not find the path. Okay, you cannot find the path here.
Yes.
Does not mention that one. So assuming that generally as per the standard, Oracle will also have the CO in the WebGI only. Assuming that you'll have the CO in the WebGI only. In the worst case, if you cannot find, what is the other way we can find out? Let us assume that
Oh,
here,
by opening the page.
yeah, we have to get the XML, right? Remember how to get the XML?
Yes. We get the XMLs from we need to run the SQL. Yeah, from the table execute that procedure. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is the way we can get. Okay. Okay, control class is equal to it shows some path, right? This is the C1 name.
Yes.
Okay. So now to perform the extension, what you have to do is you have to get this particular Java file, particular class file. I mean, you have to get this particular class file. So where is this particular class file will be available? It will be
In the Java folders, Java
Java
top.
okay, Java top classes folder. So now let's go to the entire the unit box. So I'll go to Java top to Java classes. So now here what is the path? It is Oracle Labs APOIE, right? Oracle Labs Oracle
Yes.
AP okay OIE, right? In the APOIE again with UI home base user. Okay, this is the file. So now what I have to do is I
Yeah.
have to move this particular class file to my classes folder. So
Local machine.
yeah,
Yeah.
local machine my class. Java home, Java my classes. So it all depends upon whether you want to move all the files or a single file. So single file will be enough, but if there are chances if it is having some dependencies, it will not work. So now what I have to do is I don't want to move all the files. I just want to move on a single file. So I have to make sure that I have to make the same directory structure here, right? I have to make
Yes.
the same directory structure. So is it Oracle there already?
It's already there on the top Oracle. It's
Oh,
already there.
sorry. Yeah. Oracle apps and okay, now I require AP, right? UAV. I can move all the files also, but if you're in a network environment when you're based on VPN, so you cannot, it takes much time for hours to move all the files. So that is why better we just move this one. I remove this one. Okay, copy. Right? I have moved my file now. So the next thing is we want to extend the controller. So as of now, I just want to see the process. Okay, there is no business functionality involved. We just want to see the process. So now what I want to do is I want to extend this particular existing controller. So let us go to JDeveloper and perform it. So now here when you are performing extension, is it necessary for you to have a new project? No, it is not required. You can work on the existing project, whatever project you have. Okay, you can work on the existing project. Now what is the package structure you want to follow for the new particular extension? So generally the naming convention for the extension generally it is again same thing. What you can do is you can prefix with your custom top or maybe you can prefix with your custom appropriate package name. So in our case as we are following XSIE, so I'll go with XSIE again and followed by the same logic, the same particular naming convention of your standard CO. Same package structure of the standard CO. It is because the other developers can easily understand. Okay, this belongs to appropriate that's internet expenses and it is part of that particular model. They can easily find out. That is the only reason we have to make it the same package structure with the prefix of your custom package structure. Okay, and now my new CO file name will be like this. Generally will start with ex1 or ex2, ex like that. Because it generally goes on, it keeps on changing. So that's why we just make it a sequence. Okay. So now,
Oh, so you're not going to put the same name, same controller name then.
yeah, it is not. See, we can mention that, but it is not preferable. What we do is let us say, assume that generally the extension requirements keeps on changing. What we do is initially we'll start with ex1 or ex, or I can say
Okay.
that we can start with ex. But let us say that after 1 month we got a new requirement. What we do is we can replace the existing file, but that is not a good idea. Why? Because if you want to validate, okay, what is the previous change and what is the current change, and if you have to compare, so that is where your problem occurs.
Yes, yes.
That is why we maintain this different version. That's the only reason. Okay, in my case, I'll start with EX1. Okay. Now here, one more thing is in the JDeveloper, you will not have any option to create a control. First of all, if you observe in the project, let us say perform right click here and click on new. So there is no option specially available to create a controller. But what is the option we have is Java class. We have to choose Java class. Okay. You will not find any option for the controller.
Yeah.
Okay. Choose Java class. And now here we have the name. What is the name? What is the name of our class file we want to mention? This is the name I want to mention. And what is the
Maximum
package?
package.
So package is this one. This is my package. And to which particular controller it is extending? It is extending some of the seeded controller, right? So just click on browse, and you can just mention the path. Just mention the path here. Copy the path. Just mention the path. It has to show that. If it shows your controller, like we have moved the file properly, and it is your Java developer is able to access it. Now just click on OK. And now if this particular constructor is not required for in our case, just click on OK. That's it. Okay. Now it is extending its controller. But if you observe, generally in our controller, whenever you write any controller, we used to have the process request as well as process form request logic. But in this controller, there is no logic of that case, right? So what you can do is either you can type it
Yes.
manually or you can just copy from the existing logic. So I prefer copying. So because again if you have any mistakes or something, it's a bigger difficult. So better you can copy paste the process request as well as process form request. It is not mandatory to have those methods, but in our case we just require. So now if you observe here, what it is doing here, line number 7, public class homepage COEX1 extending the homepage CO. And I just pasted the process request method now. So what I want to do is I don't have much business logic. I just want to say how exactly I can extend controller. So I just write some information message. generate the video from the arrangements page. Okay, I just want to discuss this information. Okay, and if you want to write some login stuff, what we can do? We can just write page context dot write diagnostics. Okay. But so this is a log where you can find out how exactly it is, where each level is at. Because we cannot perform the line by line debugging when you are working on a CY extension. So this is one of the log where you can, using this one, you can debug it generally. Okay. What is the next step is now we have, let us assume that we have written our logic. The next step is we want to compile. We cannot run it first of all. We can just only compile. Just make as well as refill, that's it. So we got some other. It says that OAE page CY is not found. See, what is the reason now is, if you observe, home page CO is, we are extending home page CO, but if it is home page CO is extending some other COs, if we, like here, we could not find that information, right? If you observe here, our CO is extending home page
Yep.
CO, but home page CO may be
Zero.
depending upon some other libraries, right? So that is the reason we generally prefer
Yes.
to move all the files. So now what I will do is, I'll just go back here, I'll just totally move the WebVI folder now. Simply move total WebVI folder. Simple. Okay. Now let's compile again. And still I got away. Let's wait for some time. OIE page you will not found in class. Okay. If you still get error, what we have to do? You have to move total OIE. That will be better option. Right? What I will do is, because you may have the dependent file anywhere, right? We are not sure. Where is it? So in the worst case, let us say in the worst case, if you are unable to compile it, there is other alternative operation, option also we have it. But it is preferable let's try to compile from here, because sometimes by we just want to find out what we're coding, right? We always try to
Yes.
validate our coding. Yeah, got it? Not compile. Okay. So now the next thing what we have to do is, now we have to move the file, right? Now we have to move our file. We have compiled, and in our my classes, in the XXIE folder I have it, and here right side it should be in a Java classes, right? So I just need to move my
Yes.
XXIE. So if you observe here in the XXIE, I have lot number of files, right? Now if you observe in the XXIE, I have my previous custom code as well as this particular code also. It all depends upon our wish, like whether we can move the total package or we can move only the appropriate single file. Okay. Let us say I'll move the total folder here, XXIE. SSIE or fill hash. So you can remove this F20, right? F20 is not required in our case, but it's okay. OPOE will be I, right? So our file is available here this place now. Now the next step is what you have to do is, so go back to the standard page now. So with the coding wise, deployment wise we have done. We have designed our CO, we have moved our file to the Java top, and then we have to perform personalization. Extension we have modified the CO, we have new file. Now what is the next step is we have to perform the personalization of the standard page. Click on the personalized page. Click on complete view and click on personalize. Now this is the existing standard controller, and also always when you perform personalization, always make a note of your page, because worst case if you get an error using a page name, you can still enable or disable the appropriate properties. That's the reason you have to know the page name when you perform personalization. Now in our case, what is our extent, our path, our new CO path is this one, right? We require the total path. It's not just a CO name. We require total path. So this is the controller for the existing one. If you observe here, how many levels we have the extension concept? 1, 2, 3, and 4. Total 4 levels. I prefer to do it at 5 levels. So I just do it at 5 levels. Now just click on apply. Okay. So now it got applied, and click on return to application, and you can just see that. What is it? You got information, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So now here, like we have written one diagnostic statement also. We have written one diagnostic, the log statement. What you can do is, you can just click on diagnostics, and show log on screen, and click on statement level. It depends upon at which level we have written diagnostics. So I have written a statement level, so I'm using a statement. So click on go. Okay. No, it is not. It is not going to the appropriate page yet. This is one of the bugs which is available in the standard pages. What you have to do is, once you enable the diagnostics, you have to go back to the standard page. So in my case, I can just click on AI expenses. If your appropriate does not show here, you have to go back to home, and then you have to select the appropriate one. So now in our case, what is our extension? What is the log? I can just search EX1. It has to show that log. Right? I am the PR of user. Can you see?
Yes.
Right? And it shows statement level, and it also clearly shows what is the package structure of my CO. Package structure of my CO. Got it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So what we do is, now next we'll try to work on how can you create items dynamically. How can you create items dynamically? So using personalization, we can also create new components. Using personalization, you can also create new components as well as new region. When I say component, it can be item as well as a region. Okay, you can create new item
Yeah.
or new region. So when you create an item, always generally you have to know what is the source of an item, right? Like let us say this text box, and you want to display some value. So from where it will come? If you want to attach some info, or whether you want user to enter, so that all you have to consider. So in our case, what I want to do is, let us say I just want to consider creation of a new button. I just want to consider creation of a new button. Okay. So what we do is, now let us just create a button. So at any place, see the debugging, the diagnostics will it consume a lot of memory resource, and it's quite slow also. Better always disable if it does not require. And click on off. Okay. I just clicked off. I'll go back to the control instance. Now what I want to do is, I want to create a new button. So we have to click on personalize, and we can create. So it all depends upon at which level you want to create a button. But if you want to perform some personalization at region level, and if you want to button it appropriate place, that is better. You can choose the appropriate level. But in my case, let us say I just want to show something. So I just want to create a button that can be any place. So I can simply click on personalize. Now always complete view, because without clicking on complete view, it will not show any create item at some levels. The create is enabled only at few levels, not at all the levels. If you just click on complete view, it will enable the create option at all levels. Now click on create item now. So I'm creating at the page layout level, nothing but that component will be shown the down, as per my understanding. Okay. So
Okay.
what I want to do is, I just want to create a button. So I will create at site level, and choose button. Okay, remember the button ID now. Remember, we have to remember the button ID. I will say this is ID, button ID. So I'll make a note of this button ID. And now a button will have the prompt, isn't it? That's one button. This is my prompt. And now if you observe here, this is not a submit button. Understand here, this is not a submit button. This is just a simple button without any action component. So for this one, if you observe, if you want
Yes.
to handle this particular button, we have to write a code. Okay.
Yeah.
Now only this creation of button I am doing here. You can apply. Now click on return to, and we should see a button here. Yeah, let me see access new custom button. Of course, the place is somewhere. It's okay now. Now, if you try to click on this, of course, we have not written any action, so it will not work. Now, assume that we have a requirement to handle some logic on this particular new button. So now, what we have to do? We have to extend the controller. Isn't it? We have to extend the controller.
Yes.
So, in a normal production environment, I mean, normal development environment, like nobody prefers to bounce the server whenever you want, right? You'll have appropriate intervals there so you can
Yeah.
bounce. But developer cannot wait for the bounce, right? So what is the other option? What we have now
Yes.
is, I'll just rename this file. I'll just save it as, I'll save this file as to. Now, I'll work on this new CO file, the 2 file. Okay. Now, if we better remove this particular, the exception what we mentioned here. I'll remove this one. Now, I just need to work on this particular one, right? So, one more thing what we have is now we have created a button and we have to handle the button using a file action component. But what is action event? So, there is no place where we can mention our event name there. Okay. So, that we have to manually mention that one. So, OA button bean. So what is the bean name?
No, this ext should be extended ex1 or just home page
No,
controller.
home page C version. Because I have all the code of my EX also, right? That's the reason. Generally, what is
Okay.
the thing is we are having the when I'm choosing EX2, I have the code of EX1 also. That is the thing.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
That is the thing. Or else what you can do, EX2 will extend EX1. But that is again tedious logic, right? It's unnecessary logic. Better you have all the code in the new file
Yes.
and you add up your new logic here. So I'm just finding the bean, webbean.find index here recursive, enter the bean ID. Okay. Now here what we have to do is we just need to set a file action. Exit this bean dot set file action, set file action for submit. So here there are some properties you have to mention. So let me get that. Okay. That's it. Okay. Now this is how we have to set an event for the button. Okay. And now we want to handle this particular button, right? So we have to handle the button in the process form request. So I have to write the logic for process form request now, right? So now just get into it. Same coding, the custom code what we have done, we have the same thing again. Okay. And even in SQL not equal to null. Okay, that's it. So compile. And now just move the file. Okay, just move the file. So I just move the file now. Okay, CO2. Sorry. I'll just move the file CO2. Now again perform personalize. Again perform personalize. Okay, click on personalize. And now change the file transformation ext. So here what I will do is just modify the last ex1 to ex2. That's it. Now click on apply. Okay, now just click on this button. Got it?
Yes.
Right? So this is how we can handle the custom button. See now here what I have done is using personalization I have created the button and using control I am handling the buttons. You got it? Button is created using personalization, not
Yes.
using your Java. Button is created using personalization.
Yes.
Using Java I'm just handling I'm handling the event. But there is another way also. What you can do is you can write the total code, nothing but creation of the button as well as handling of the event also you can do it. But creation of the button is like and of course, we just need to write some more extra logic for the creation of the button. So I'll write that logic also now. So here, what I will do is, yeah, I'll try to use the same logic here, but not sure whether this will work or not. I just need to set it properly. Okay, so I don't want to use this one. Advanced table is not required. So now here, I'm trying to use submit button. Okay, getting the beam, and here we have some property, you have to get it. So button underscore submit is a context factory of that, and after that you have to set ID, set UI name as well as set event. So what is the event name? Submit print button, and okay, you have to set all the properties manually. That's the only thing. You can choose either button. Now I am choosing submit button, but you can also choose the other button also. So here what I am doing is dynamically I am creating it. Dynamically I am creating this button. Okay.
Right.
I'll just say dynamic. I'll just save that and name it as dynamic event. So now what I have to do, now if you want to handle this button, and one more thing is I'll save this as file 3. Why? Because I don't want to bounce my server. Because in your normal WebLogic,
Yeah.
when you're trying to move the same file, you have to bounce it. So I don't want to bounce the server, so I'll
Yeah.
move it as a new file 3. Now I'll write my logic. I will send it and just set it as dynamic event. You just click on the new submit button. That's it. Rebuild. Right? No errors. Move the file. Copy. Okay. Now go to the server and again perform personalize. And I'll change it to G. This one apply.
We are clicking on the little arrow, right? The responsibility level. Or...
Where you ask me actually? Which are you saying?
In the personalized page,
There's some personalized page here.
to reflect with the new controller, you have
Okay.
clicked on the
Oh no, it does not need
new
to.
little arrow.
No. If you click on that new arrow, that is for the purpose of what you say, resetting to the older one. I'm not clicking on that.
Okay.
So when you just come out of that, a
Just
file
click on
action will be
personal.
getting. Now if you see here, this little arrow, this is for the purpose of like inherit. Nothing but it will replace the new. It will replace the existing CO. Nothing but your seeded CO. I'm not clicking on that.
Okay.
Do not click on that. You just tap out. You just tap out. Or just like click on the cursor, click your mouse cursor anywhere after entering the page. Because it will perform a file action. It will
Okay.
perform a file action.
Yep. Yep.
So the new button I could not see as of now. What I will do is let's come back to this page. Just click on home and click on expenses. You see the button? No, right?
No, I can't see it.
We are missing some properties. We have to attach. Okay. Add index. Index this was missing actually. That is why it is not working. So I change it as CO4 now. So now you observe, right, like what happens when you perform real extensions. So frequently we changing the files. Maybe it could be developer thing or whatever it is, but you generally you will have these kind of issues. So again, I'll perform personalize. So now here if you observe the count is getting changed, right? But generally assume that you are working on the existing controller, existing extended controller. Existing extended controller is 1 and your file should be 2, right? Now it went on to 4 now. What is the other thing what you do is just go with the underscores, like the 1_1, 1_2 like that. If everything is perfect, then change it to have a new file as PO2 like that. Okay?
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
the best option. In our case it's already 3, right? So I'll just change it to 4 now. Easy. Move to 4. 4 and just click your mouse somewhere outside. That's it. It will perform a fire action and you can see this code here. Click on apply. Can you see button here? Click here. Review button.
Yes.
Right? So that was the error actually. Because you have not added the button to the debug. That's the reason it is not displayed. Now click on this button and see the difference. You just click on new submit button and if you try the other one, it has to show some other message. You just click on that, right? So,
What if you want to create the items in the particular region then?
yeah, you can
It's
create.
going default to the bottom level.
Yeah, at any level you can create. It all depends upon the region which you choose. Now let us say here, in this particular region you want to create some particular item. What you can do, click on personalize. Now click on complete view always. And let us, it all depends upon which level you want to create. Okay. Let us I'll choose header level directly. And I'll just click on create item. We also have an option to reorder. You can also reorder. Okay. I just want to
Okay.
have a message text input now. Okay. I want to have a message. and I want to create a style level. This I install it, note down here like this. And here, what is the prompt? Generally, just have to set what is prompt, right? Initial value we have, but I'm not sure whether it will work or not. Okay, that's it. Now click on apply. Got it? They're able to display, right? The initial value of my the default value.
Yes. Okay.
Now, assume that they want to validate it. Okay, or assume that whether you want to validate or whether you want to display it. Now, if you want to handle this particular text input using my button. Now, what I want to do is, whenever I click on this particular new button, click here, I want to display whatever the value which I mentioned here. But
Yeah.
let's do that. I will change again my CO file. I'll change it as CO5. Okay. So now what I will do? So in my new button, this dynamic event, what I want to do is I just want to get the value. So what is my item ID? This is my item ID. So I prefer to use OA message text input. I prefer to use OA message text input field rather than the page property parameters. So I'm going to proceed. And then we will do get value. Okay, save the file and then again that's one personal. Okay, and click on apply. Okay, and just click on this button and just see whether it will retrieve a value or not. Got it? The text value, we are
Yes.
able to retrieve the value, right? Click on this button. Right? So this is how we can get the value also. Right? Either it can be existing component or the new component. And if you want to get, let us say if you want to get some value, let us assume that you have a requirement to validate this report number, then I just click on a button. So if you want to get this report number, what you have to do, you have to find out what is the VIVO and what is the attribute, right? You have to find out what is the VIVO as well as what is the attribute. So you just get the appropriate row and get the attribute. First of all, get the VIVO instance, get the row, and then get the value. So we have to write all the logic in the C words, not in the A.
Yes.
Okay. So this is all about the CVO extension. Like the one topic which is pending is the VIVO extension. That is quite tedious topic. I will work on next class. So any doubts in the CVO part?
Okay. And one more quick
Yeah.
next question is generally, okay, currently you're adding items through dynamically, but some cases if it's not feasible to add items properly from the personalization, then we need to open the page
No,
and we can add it from
no,
the
please.
page, and we need to re-import the
No, that is not at all correct.
and export the page. Okay.
Any file.
You will change it.
Will never change any other either XML or Vivo or whatever it is. You can perform only extension. You never change any of the file.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Sir,
if it is, see, first thing is, like here, always try to prefer using personalization to create a new item. Mostly it should be possible. If it doesn't work using personalization, generally if it doesn't work with personalization, it will also not work with the CPU. So the only thing is you have to choose an alternative item, whatever is feasible within the framework. Because when they say framework, we have a limitation, we have to go with the limitation. So that you have to understand here. Because
Okay.
it's not a pure open source framework. Of course it is based on open standards, but it is not an open source framework. And it is purely Oracle proprietary framework. So
Okay.
that you have
So
to
you should
understand.
never open the page in the JDeveloper and add the items then.
No,
Okay.
no, never, never. You never do that.
Yeah.
Because let us assume that like today you have modified the Oracle code and after 6 months Oracle replaces your code, what will happen? Right? You have a chance of that, right?
Yeah.
That is it. You should never modify it.
sir,
Yeah, Jyoti.
hello.
Yeah, Jyoti.
Sir, this class is quite difficult for me to understand.
Yeah.
I will today again I will going to through this video. If I'm not able to get anything, then I come back.
And no problem, no problem. You can try it. You try how much you can. That is why I was telling,
Sure.
right? That is why generally we cover this extension topic in the last stage because assuming the developer has
Oh,
understand the custom implementation logic, that is why we'll cover this particular topic in the last stage.
yesterday lecture I understand very well,
Yeah, that
very
is
cleanly.
yeah. Personalization is
Today's
quite
lecture getting crucial to understand.
it is complex. The only thing is if you observe the code, in the code level there is no complex, right? The code level we have been going from the past. If you observe handling the event, getting the value, this kind of coding is already there. We have been using from many days, right? Only thing is you have to understand the
The
process
process is
near.
slightly different.
Yeah, process is the only thing
Yeah.
you have to very much careful. Now we have done all the extension without getting any issues, right? But in the worst case, mostly even when I was in your stage, I used to get many exceptions. It's not that much easy. Now I'll show you one exception, simple exception, and see what is the solution for it. Now let us say I'll click on personalized page, and most of the times developers give a wrong CO file name. That's it. The page will not open, and your developer will screw you. Click on personalize. By worst case, by mistake, or unwantedly, or like unknowingly, assume that you have given new, assume that you have given some particular junk file name. Assume that I will give a 6 here. Assume that I've given a 6 here, which is not the file is not available. I'll click on apply. This will not give any error. When you click on apply, it will not give any error. But when you navigate your standard page, there you'll face the issue. Observe here. But it's gone. So what is the solution now? Okay. So by mistakenly you close
One
the
same time.
no one minute. By mistakenly you close your browser also. If I click on back, I can solve it. But assume that in the worst case, you close your browser also by mistake. Now if I
Yeah.
click on back, then
Yeah.
I can solve it. If I click on back, someday I can solve it. But assume that I have closed my
So
browser.
what happens if you close the browser then?
Yeah, that is coming to the worst case only. So other option to our rescue, what we have is functional administrator. So when you perform personalization, always make sure that you have the functional administrator logic with you. Okay, always have that one. Now I'll go to functional administrator and click on personalization. Okay. Now mention your page path. So that is where your page path comes into picture. It is very much important now. So I'll mention my page name, page path, click on go. So now what I have to do, so as per my understanding, what we have done is we have mentioned the wrong CO file name. Nothing but either have to disable it or you can just personalize to rectify the operation. Just click on personalize page and rectify what is the wrong you have done. Now just go to the default and click on apply. Now it will allow you to personalize the page now from here. Now you can again perform personalize here and change the file appropriately. Mention the appropriate file name. Okay, now this is the name, right? I have to mention it as file, the site level. Okay, so this is how we can solve the issue. So until unless you don't know the page, if you don't know the page name, then we cannot. It is very difficult, right? If you don't know the page name, it is very difficult.
Yeah.
But I'll show you other way also. Let us say worst case you know like you lost your page name also. Assume that worst case you have lost your page name also. But what you know is your only CO file, CO name. How can you find that? I'll show you that also. So what you do is behavior attributes. Okay. Now what you do is in attribute value, you just mention the total path of the CO. That's it. And data attributes, you just mention the total path of the CO. Now in our case it is 5, right? It may take some time, but we will give the
Yes.
appropriate result. So it will give you a document ID. Using document ID, you can find out the page name, isn't it? So these are things you have to work on. So this debugging is a very critical. Now I got my document ID. If I know my document ID, I can easily find out my page name. What is that? Various forms. Yeah, where doc ID, not doc ID. Okay. Part understood. Right. So now I have my. It's not showing full information, right? What you can do? Underscore. Dot get document name.
Name.
Not underscore dot ID. Right. That's it.
Document spelling wrong. DO.
Now here, if you see, it is showing something like WebUI slash customization, right? Remove all the things, nothing but after WebUI, what are the last thing is it? That is a page name, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So this is how you can find out
Yes.
information, either from the browser, function administrator, or database. In our worst case, let us say you totally want to remove this personalization. What you can do? You just take this part and delete document. That's it. But never don't try to delete until unless you are aware that it belongs to you. Okay. Just
So
delete the
you're
total.
completely deleting the document, right?
No, it will delete the personalization. If you mention, it all depends upon what you mention here.
Okay.
So, but delete document you have to
Okay.
use very much carefully. Why? Because sometimes by mistakenly if you delete the standard document, so that it will lead to a bigger problem, right? So don't try to delete using database.
Hmm.
It is not an auto commit, so that is one more recipe we have. Because I deleted the document, but to my favor, I have not performed the commit. I deleted one standard document to my favor, I did not commit it. Then I later found, I just wrote back. So try to be very careful in the way, try to delete the document. Better don't delete from here, try to delete from front end. The front end you have an option.
So
When
this
you
function only disables the personalization, right? This only. This function
this
only
function
disables the personalization.
this function deletes the document, deletes your personalization information totally in the database.
Okay.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is, if you have any option to either disable or whether if you want to delete, let us say if you want to delete this button, better delete it from here. Better delete from the front end, not from the
Yes.
back end. Okay. Yeah. So this is the extension concept. Any doubts? It all depends on the practice. You have to practice well, then only you can get more ideas, or you better and you can understand better. I think. Okay. So I'll stop here.